Apart from his work of co-headlining the Berkshire Affair and various other business and philanthropic ventures, people know Charlie Munger for his eloquent, multidisciplinary mind. Trained as a meteorologist during World War II and as a lawyer at Harvard before devoting himself to business, Munger has drawn massively from his studies in psychology, economics, physics, biology, history, and other disciplines. As a result, his business and life insights are unique, rare, and correct with unusual consistency. One of the world's most successful investors, Charlie Munger's wisdom is not only adjusted towards investing, but can be implemented in any walk of life. With that said, let's take a look at 5 lifelong tips from Charlie Munger. Are you going to follow some of these pearls of wisdom? Let us know in the comments. Charlie Munger is also appreciated for one of the greatest speeches he gave to Harvard graduates 35 years ago. In his speech, he focused on tips about how to live a good life, instead of talking about how to be a successful investor. He talked about how to construct a life that will enable you to be your best, resulting in the best investment results. To begin his speech, Munger used the idea from Johnny Carson's speech and specified his prescriptions for guaranteed misery of life. The first piece of advice he presented was to avoid drugs. In his original speech, Carson admitted that he had tried drugs on occasion and become miserable every time. Munger then provided a real-world example of why he's so against taking any form of substance, including alcohol, by telling a story of 4 of his friends. Namely, his closest friends when he was young were knowledgeable, ethical, humorous types, favored in person and background. 2 are long dead, mainly due to alcohol, and a third is a living alcoholic. He concluded that while susceptibility varies, addiction can happen to any of us through a subtle process where the bonds of degradation are too light to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. He ended this section by saying, "And I have yet to meet anyone in over 6 decades of life whose life was worsened by over fear and over avoidance of such a deceptive pathway to destruction." Charlie Munger talked a lot about how important it is to avoid resentment and envy. He told Harvard Westlake graduates that resentment worked for him about as well as it did for Carson. According to him, these traits only ever cause misery and do not produce any positivity. He said that Carson spoke rightly when he said that life is hard enough to swallow without squeezing in the bitterness of resentment. So, if you find it impossible to quit feeling resentful cold turkey, the billionaire suggested abiding by the practice of the Disraeli Compromise. While Benjamin Disraeli rose to become the prime minister, he learned to give up revenge. But he held an outlet for resentment by writing the names of people who hurt him on a piece of paper and putting it in a drawer. Then, every now and then, he would review those names and take joy in regarding the way the world had taken his foes down without his help. If you want a miserable life, you just need to wallow in resentment. Write a list of all the things you regret and resent, and blame it on people around you. Then, continue looking at the list every day, and you will have a guaranteed miserable life. So, according to Charlie, you just need to do the opposite. Think of all the things you're grateful for and beautiful memories of people you love, and think about them every day. Charlie's good friend and associate Warren Buffett has also repeatedly said that it's not greed but envy that ruins the world. Charlie stated that envy is a foolish sin since it's the only one you could never have any fun at. There's so much pain but no fun. Traits like envy, resentment, revenge, and self-pity set one up for failure. Concerning the last part, Munger talked about many tragedies he had experienced, yet he did not feel sorry for himself. He was almost bankrupt, then he lost his 10-year-old child due to leukemia, then he lost his vision on the left eye after a failed cataract surgery, but he didn't feel self-pity, as he had a strong desire within him to keep going. He admitted he had surely looked out for feelings of resentment and revenge at one point, but he also ascertained that those thoughts did not negatively influence him. Both Charlie and Warren agree that in order to succeed, it's essential to learn from your past mistakes. However, this isn't just limited to your mistakes, as learning from the mistakes of others is also vital if you want to succeed in life. Munger also explained that you could clearly see the results of not learning from earlier mistakes by looking at the everyday disasters of humanity, such as drunk and reckless driving, business collapses through repetition of apparent mistakes made by predecessors, different forms of crowd folly, and so on. To evade unhappiness, you must also become as educated as you reasonably can. He added that learning from others' mistakes is cost-free. Other investors lose money as well, so you don't have to learn the same lessons with your own money. As an example, he gave one of the most influential physicists, Sir Isaac Newton. He received broad attention for his work because he recognized the work of those who came before him. Newton even said himself that if he had seen a little further than other men, it is because he stood on the shoulders of giants. Warren has similarly talked about learning from his past mistakes and changing his investment strategies throughout the years. The important thing is to learn from the mistakes so that you don't make them in the future. Warren even echoed Munger's thoughts by saying that although it is good to learn from your mistakes, it's better to learn from other people's mistakes. His favorite song is My Way by Frank Sinatra, and Charlie believes that song does a great job of describing how one should go about living one's life. One thing almost every investor believes in is reading, and Charlie isn't an exception. The way to become smarter is by constantly learning. He states that reading is the fundamental key to his success. According to him, whenever he has a book in his hand, he never feels like he's wasting time. In fact, reading has been an everyday habit that he applies without thinking. If you learn to always have a book by your side, then you are way ahead of most people, since books are a fantastic resource full of knowledge. While others are posting selfies on social media, you are soaking up the wisdom of thousands of different authors on numerous subjects. You should always have a book by your side. And even if you had a busy day, you should try to read at least 1 page a day. Munger claims that once you get into the habit of reading, then you're doing it constantly. He even has several books on his table, and every night he reads a few chapters. However, you need to be patient, and if you haven't picked up the habit of reading, it may take time. Just like with any habit, you need to start off slow. Pick a book, set a goal for yourself of reading at least 1 page from it before you go to bed. As you gain the hang of it, you will find yourself reading a lot more. Lastly, Charlie Munger advises everyone to spend each day trying to be a little wiser than they were when they woke up. I constantly see people rise in life who are not the smartest, sometimes not even the most diligent, but they are learning machines. They go to bed every night a little wiser than they were when they got up. But reading by itself won't make anyone wiser. You need to actually apply the ideas you get from books, and the only way to achieve wisdom is to build it up by piecing together small lumps of knowledge. But first, you have to set a goal of becoming a little wiser each day. Your curiosity is a big help in this type of attempt, which is why you should work on being curious and satisfying that curiosity. Every day, read a little, take a course, or simply sit down and write, as all of these actions will make you a bit wiser. Dedicate every month to learning a skill, whether a new one or something you continue from the previous month. According to Munger, he tries to learn something each month, as he sometimes picks one subject and takes several months to learn it, while at other times, he just spends 1 month focusing on a specific skill he wants to master. He even forced himself to write every day and churn out as many articles as he could. The key to actually having a skill stick is to make it a habit. Even though he did not have the same intense focus on writing over the next few months, he continued writing at a less intense pace. Be sure to comment down below and let us know if we've missed something. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell to never miss an upload. Thank you very much for watching.